All right, hey folks, welcome back. We're talking night vision today, single tubes, dual tubes, what you should get. I've got my buddy Sam.
Blah, 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 you are a crazy human being, you John Lovell.
Hey, who are you, crazy Russian?
I am Ivan Ivanovich of the Legions of the North of Russia. What do you think you are?
What are you wearing?
I've vodka my Kalichnikov. What are you wearing with your silly American poets? Your gloves.
Yeah, we're wearing Warrior Poet apparel, and it's actually awesome. Chicks dig it. I mean, you can't even buy that anymore. Where did you get it?
What do you think? I got this at the finest Russian store in Siberia, Sportsman's Guide.
Did you use code WarPoet?
Of course I use code word. All this for me. My drug. You don't even have a hat for your heads.
Here's my America hat. Sam? Oh yeah. You guys don't even have night vision.
Blah, blah, blah. You are thinking you are so smart with your American cowboy minds. This is Russian. Excuse. I put it on like this. You see at night times. And then, this is all old technology from eras far begot.
I stand corrected.
Use code WordPoet at checkout for all of your needs, for your clothes, to your hat.
All right, hey folks, welcome back. We're talking night vision today. So if you're looking to get into the night vision world, or perhaps you're already in it, we don't want you to spend a fortune to get crappy things. That's where Sam comes in. Sam, do you know night vision?
I know the night vision.
How do you know the night vision?
I know the Muffin Man. On the side, this is, night vision is kind of my bag.
Right, the night vision is an old hat for me as well, from kicking indoors in Ranger Battalion once upon a time. Most of our missions were done at night, so rolling around with night vision was a big deal. Later, I ended up teaching night vision for years, and then ended up moving more toward pistol rifle classes. I plan to do a little bit of night vision training in the future, but I won't do much of it. Sam's still doing night vision training all the time, and you're building goggles and stuff. So when I have a question and I'm stumped on night vision, I go to Sam. So I'll be interviewing him a little bit, and he's going to help all of us along as we figure out what to do. Sound good? I said sound good like you could answer. Very well. You'll answer in the comments. Be like, sounds bad, John. Hey, quit trolling me, bro. I had a dumb moment. I had a blonde moment. All right, Sam, so if we're looking to get in the night vision world, what's the setup, the minimal setup to have for running and gunning?
Great question. I get that question asked to me, multiple times a week. But essentially, the bare bones breakdown is you need a monocular or a dual tube, but this happens to be a monocular, a mount, which is your articulating arm that interfaces the night vision system to the helmet, and a helmet. Ideally you want to have it hands-free on your head so you can look around and do stuff, interact dynamically with your environment, whether it's run, jump, swim, drive, shoot, climb, whatever. But having it on a helmet allows you to do all that stuff.
Is there a time where you would want to mount this to a gun?
Yes, but it'd be very rare, and only in certain situations. While you can mount it to a gun, it really detracts from the strengths that the PVS-14 in particular has. So outside of a few little scenarios, situations, I don't necessarily advocate weapon mounting a PVS-14.
If you want to do real long-range precision work, shooting far stuff or seeing really far, you're going to need to put it to a rifle. But other than that, like any type of close quarters application, now you've got to point a gun at anything to identify what it is. So it doesn't work up close, but at far range, it can be pretty cool, right? So, all right, so basically helmet, mount, goggle. Anything else?
As far as what's on your head, no. Now, if you do want to, like we said, get into that shooting portion, an IR aiming laser is going to be, the next thing you're going to need. And with those four things, you've pretty much got all the bases covered. There's a couple of other sighting and targeting systems we can talk about, but probably not in this video. But with these four, essentials, you can get out there and hit the ground running.
Fantastic. Guys, we're going to limit most of our discussion to the goggle, the mounting stuff itself. I'm not going to go deeply into which helmet or accessories or even lasers. We'll probably tackle that in a later video. So let's just talk the technology itself. So let's see, first off, what am I looking for budget? Because my dad brought me he was proud of his night vision device. It was a Gen 1, whatever, Russian stuff. Hopefully Ivan Ivanovich won't come back in at this point, but he was proud of it. He looked through it, and I looked through it. I'm like, oh, that's trash. And I happened to have my night vision on me as well, and he looked through mine. He's like, yeah, let me see it. I'm like, oh, you don't want to see this? I'm like, yeah, let me see it. And he looked through it, and his face went, oh.
Yeah.
I never saw his tube again. It's buy once, cry once when it comes to night vision, generally speaking. So if you find some budget deal for $1,500, yeah,
good night vision isn't cheap, and cheap night vision isn't good. So you really need to have a realistic expectation and budget when you go about doing this stuff. I mean, getting into the night vision game that's upper level, collegiate level equipment sourcing. So set a realistic budget. You can actually retail price. You're looking at about $4,500 to $5,500. If you shop around and buy used, you can probably do it for anywhere from $3,000 to $4,000.
So you're saying just the goggle itself?
Just the goggle and the helmet and the mount.
So you're saying this is $4,500?
No, if you shop around, and you can generally find something like this setup for about $4,500. And if you buy used, you can get it for a little bit cheaper. Though there are some things you need to be aware of. When you're buying used, you can hit a home run and knock it out of the park and get something really cool, or you can get taken for all you're worth. You just need to be careful when sourcing used stuff.
Very good. So if we had, say, a really high quality Gen 2 or something Gen 3, thin film at least, so nothing pinnacle, nothing super high performance, what would you be looking at just for the tube?
Just for the tube, about $3,000.
Okay, very
good. That's a good solid number.
And what if we want of like
unfilmed
Gen 3 high performance tube, white phosphor, which is pretty all right?
You're looking at $4,000, maybe a little bit more.
Got it. Okay, and that's just for the goggle itself. Man, you can see really well. We'll cut to some footage right here. You will see right now, there is slaying. Here's Sam shooting. Very good. And here's me shooting some. And yay for that. You see it really clearly. Very good. That was white phosphor I don't know what that was. White phosphor and green. Green is not accomplishing anything less than white phosphor can do. I think your eyes don't get as tired with the green. It's a little bit more natural to distinguish stuff. It feels just a little cleaner, and once you go white, you never go back.
Right. Yeah.
So
the military right now on the whole is transitioning over towards the unfilmed white phosphor if they haven't already. So
very good. All right. So whereas we could get into this somewhere around $3,000 all the way up to $4,000, depending on what you got, and you need, I'd say, hey, Gen 3 thin film. Make sure you don't have any blemishes or stuff. Stick with a reputable company with a good warranty. Yeah, there you go. What about a set of dual tubes? What's the damage here to just kind of get started, and then what they go up to?
Dual tubes, you're looking at roughly double the cost, and sometimes even more than double the cost.
Why would it be double the cost?
Well, you're talking two different intensifier tubes plus all the hardware and the bridge assembly and everything like that. But a good realistic budget for a new set of dual tubes is right around $7,000 on up to over $10,000, depending on how crazy you want to go with it. And within the dual tube, you've got fixed bridge and then you've got articulating bridge, and you're actually paying for the features of the housing at that point. So there are pros and cons to each of the bridge systems out there. But really the most important thing that you need to go looking for is image quality. Everything else is secondary as far as housing features. But if you've got good image quality, that's like the number one thing.
Very good. Let's talk about the pros and cons of a single versus a dual tube. I think it'd be fun first to just kind of, what are some misinformation, misnomers? It's kind of like, oh, well, I'd rather have twice the
Right.
field of view here. I got 2 eyes now.
Yeah, so a lot of people think you double your field of view with a dual tube system. That is incorrect. You actually get the same field of view as a monocular. It's 40 degrees across the board for all of these systems. So don't think that you're going to double your field of view by going to a dual tube system. Though it does give you some perceived spatial awareness gain. Your field of view doesn't change, and it's not really a depth perception thing. But it is a perceived spatial awareness game. But with enough training and time under a monocular system, I mean, John and I could probably go out in the parking lot at night and toss around a softball, no problem.
Yeah, no problem. And I've had enough time with PVS 14s where this isn't giving me too much more of an advantage. I have a theory about why this has a perceived increase in depth perception, which you don't have, or just some of that stuff. There is a perceived jump, but I think it's because both eyes are now relaying the same information to your brain, where this one says when it's over just one eye, it's saying, all right, this is what's true about the world. And the other eye is saying, stop, you're about to fall off a cliff. There's nothingness. Right. And so it's a contradictory message your eyes are sending to your brain that causes a little bit of a delay that training can really overcome. But when would you want a single tube and not a dual tube?
Well, the big thing with a single tube is pure economics. I mean, if you just can't pony up $7,000, I understand not everybody can. Don't necessarily feel undergunned or outgunned with a monocular setup.
But don't get 7 deltas. 7 deltas is the dual tube with the one in the middle, so you look like a cyclops.
You're a terrible human being.
No, it's not. It's just out of tactical fashion. But I mean, you can still.
It's a 30-year-old goggle system.
How old is this?
1998 is when the 14 got introduced. So we're coming up on
22 years.
22 years.
Wow.
But stay away from PVS 7s. And we could do a whole other video on why to stay away from 7s, but we won't get into that. The 14 the PVS 14 is the Glock 19 of night vision. That's where you want to invest your money for logistical support, warranty, accessories that interface with it, and all kinds of mounts and whatnot. So the 14 is truly the best and really the only monocular that I would suggest. Stepping up from there, then we get into the dual tubes, and there's a multitude of those. So
very good. So Sam mentioned economics would be one reason to have this. I can think of one other, and that's
photo video work.
So I can take this off and hold it up to an iPhone and actually shoot extremely good video with a 14 and a camera. So there's a second reason. A third one is more clandestine operations. I mean, you could put that in a pocket, walk around, do this without being in your monkey suit. There's a third reason. And then a fourth would be, you know what I'm going to go with? What am I going to say?
Reading environmental lighting conditions.
There you go. With the dual tubes right here, you can't really distinguish what is the enemy seeing in terms of lighting conditions. And so to have one unoccluded eye means you can close this eye and focus on this, and you can kind of see the world and have night vision, your dark adaptation in your right eye to see what the enemy sees, so that you can read lighting conditions and plot a course to stay in the shadows. So that can be helpful. It's hard to do with this, even if you're kind of doing the look up and read down, because you're getting light into your eyes. You can't really see with any dark adaptation, which is taken away from you. So that can be a big-ish deal. If you're out in the deserts or deep in the woods, it's not a big deal, but kind of
another thing is
everybody's running duals, because if you can afford them, duals is the way to go. But those are some considerations. That being said, all things considered, duals are awesome.
But the other thing to consider also is the weight. Yeah. A monocular weighs less. It's going to be less stress on your neck if you're going to wear this for multiple hours at a time. So, that's one cool thing about 14.
Yep, very good. All right, let's talk about the dual systems themselves. What have you got and what have I got here?
So these are Actin Black DT NVGs. They're an articulating dual tube system. Actin Black is a company out of Luxembourg, and they make an articulating housing it's packed full of features, and it's a really high speed whiz bang system that has a lot of cool functions. I transitioned over to these about 2 years ago, and I really haven't looked back. They're an amazing goggle system, and I can dig them. These over here, yours, are the Adams Industry Sentinels, and those things, they are the Timex watch of dual tubes. I mean, they take a licking and keep on ticking. They've been around for a long, long time, and they're boringly reliable. They were probably for a long time they were the best commercially available dual tube housing on the market, and there's thousands of them out there. So they're pretty synonymous and ubiquitous at this point. But
Fantastic.
This is a fixed bridge, meaning you only have interpupillary articulation, meaning you can spread or narrow the gap in between the iPods, but they do not individually articulate. To get them out from your eyes, you actually have to flip the entire system up, whereas these, you can swivel one up or both of them up.
Can we actually just show that?
Absolutely.
Yeah. There you go.
So, sorry. Like I said, if I'm running my goggles, at night, and I need to either transition over to a scope or maybe a handheld thermal or read environmental lighting conditions or whatever, I can just lift one up. I can also lift the other side up for vehicle ops where you've got a low roof or whatever. So I can actually just look underneath everything
and then flip it all up.
Flip it all up.
Like so, and it doesn't hang so far out like this guy, which makes kind of that big horn, and it makes a little bit of awkward weight farther out. Not a big deal, but it is a deal. So the articulating stuff is a pretty big deal. So if you can afford the upgrade, it's probably a cool thing to do. Guys, these are just little caps on here, and we put those on in case the goggles were turned on, and they're just chilling on the table. It'll ruin your goggles. So this is a safe way that you can put them on. I've got my eyepieces covered up and my objective lenses covered up as well. So yeah, what else?
Expanding on from here, there are panoramic systems out there that give you a much wider field of view, like 97 degrees, but those are not really available to civilians.
That's the 4 tubes.
A few circumstances here and there, so I don't even really think it's worth talking about because they're about $20,000 plus for some of those panoramic systems. But yeah, it really for the consumer or even law enforcement, we're talking binoculars or a dual tube system. So,
do you think night vision is something that's really just a military thing, or some cops into it? Is there any place for civilians in it? You would know because you're fielding calls literally every single day dealing with night vision. So who are your customers, and where do you see the future and the applications going?
Well, one of the beautiful things about being an American is we get access to all kinds of cool technology and everything like that, to include night vision. Like there's no real restrictions on ownership of this stuff, and I'm a firm believer that Americans should be able to have access to most of the same stuff that the military has. I think if I could own an F-15 fighter jet, we should be able to own those. Anyway, yeah. Outside of a military context, yeah, there's a lot of context to night vision. Within the hunting demographic, night vision pig hunting is the fastest growing sect of the hunting industry. Feral hogs are just rampant here in the southeast, and there's no better way to go after them than with night vision thermals and lasers. It's fun. It's doing something for the environment to clean up kind of a problem we started, and then they happen to also be delicious to eat. So it's kind of a win-win situation. So
Yay for bacon.
Yay for bacon.
Oh, very good. And also coyotes.
Coyotes, absolutely. Yeah, so feral and predator hunting for sure. What else? I mean, scaring kids on Halloween is always fun. Scaring kids not on Halloween is also fun. But a lot of my customers, they're boaters, so they like to go out on the water. I've got a lot of deep sea fishermen who like to go out when the sun is down to get out past the breakers before the tide comes in or the waves kick up, so they have a nice calm voyage out to their fishing area, and they really only can do that at 3 or 4 in the morning. So night vision allows them to get on their boats, get out, navigate out safely, and hit the waterways safer and faster, quicker access. So there's that. We're seeing fire departments, move to some night vision for a lot of search and rescue applications, and thermal as well. There's night vision driving, if you want to do that.
Surveillance stuff could be pretty good. Anyway, lots of cops. Military, of course, we already knew, but civilians are getting on night vision train
You
like
and I
mad. So.
both lived on the coast, and what happens on the coast? Hurricanes hit, and when the power goes out, being that guy in the neighborhood who has night vision, it's pretty cool. It's like having a superpower. So, in the event,
There's flashlights too, but
there's flashlights too.
there's flashlights, but
when you can
Shut up.
when you can do a property check without
Night
turning on
vision's
the
cool.
light, it's kind of cool.
that's pretty cool. Anyway, guys, there you have it. We'll have future night vision types of videos. Make sure you check with my training page. At the time of making this video, the only thing I do night vision related is an introduction to long range patrol class where we're getting around and doing recon stuff, and we'll go out. We're about to put one of those on the calendar really soon. If you're not signed up for my Patreon, that's probably the best way to get in a class. Almost no one's getting in my class. They sell pretty darn quick, but you have to be a patron to be able to do that. Link down below. We'll link to as much of this stuff down below as we can, but yeah. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Sam, thanks so much for coming and hanging out.
Yeah. If you guys have questions, post them up in the comments. I'll try to go in there and do my best to answer them. I'm sure this will generate a ton of comments and questions because this stuff is so technical, but feel free to do so.
Very good. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. Train hard, train smart. We'll see you next time.
You see, I have my Kalashnikov and my axe for digging in the dirt, in the trench, and you make sure that you can bury your mothers.
Yeah, you can't even buy that stuff anymore. That stuff's like 50 years old, man.
I was 50 years old when I shot my first. No.